Good evening, students and parents. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us online this evening for the Senior Secondary Information Evening. My name is Glenn Leyland. I'm the Acting Senior Campus Principal, and I'll be starting this evening off. First, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we are meeting. I pay my respects to their elders past and present and the Aboriginal elders of other communities who may be here today. In taking up a pathway to complete Year 12 studies, it's important to acknowledge our young people are setting themselves up for a strong future. Research strongly supports that higher levels of education lead to higher paying jobs. Higher levels of education lead to better health over a lifetime and even to lower likelihood of engagement in crime. Completing Year 12 sets up a pattern of accepting lifelong learning as a concept, which means students will be ready to accept opportunities for both career growth and potentially career changes through their lives. You might be interested in the general trend of what young people take on after Year 12. Statistics from the On Track survey from 2022 show some general trends. Young people who complete Year 12 are significantly more likely to go on to further education and training. This is especially important as the Australian National Skills Commission tells us that 9 in 10 new jobs are thought to require a post-school qualification. Education and skills development after school will be critical to securing sound and fulfilling future employment. We all know that jobs that provide a strong future are requiring stronger skills, knowledge and capabilities. We only have to look at how the role of an auto mechanic has changed over the last 20 years, with computers now essential to the working of cars. I will now hand over to Miss Anna Bonanno, who will provide you with an overview of the senior secondary certificates.
Thanks, Glenn. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us in this evening tonight. My name is Anna Bonanno and I am the Senior School Leader, and I'm just going to talk to you about changes to the VCE as of this year that will accommodate your child's talents. Thanks, Christy. So, as we know, the VCE has changed. The new VCE is made up of the following. Students can be enrolled in the Victorian Certificate of Education certificate, as we know the VCE, as you know it has remained the same, or your child can be enrolled in the VCE Vocational Major, VM, which is a new program pathway that replaces the Intermediate and Senior VCAL certificate, or they can be enrolled in the VPC, the Victorian Pathway Certificate, which replaces the Foundation certificate. So why has this changed? A bit of background for you. The new VCE came about as a result in 2019, the government had a review of the Victorian Certificate of Applied Learning. The certificate had been running in Victoria for 20 years and it has provided very positive outcomes for a large number of students. The review found that in many schools, the VCAL program was delivered in a quality manner and students achieved great outcomes. and it led to strong future outcomes for the students. In some other schools, it wasn't offered at all or didn't meet the same high standards. So hence, there were 38 recommendations that were accepted by the government and hence implemented for the new VCE as we know it from this year onwards, to accommodate the many talents of your child, our students, and the one VCE for all. So the senior secondary certificate, so the VCE looks like this. So if you study the VCE, the Victorian Certificate of Education, this will lead you to apprenticeships, traineeships, VET, getting an ATAR, which would let you go into university. If you decide to study the VCE Vocational Major Pathway VM, this will lead you to apprenticeships, traineeships, VET, and you can get to university going through TAFE. Or if you study the VPC, which is the Victorian Pathway Certificate, this will lead you into some entry-level VET or work. So now there's a really great video that we're going to show you. It runs for about a minute and a half, which will tell you the differences between all the pathway options. Thanks, Christy.
There are now 2 ways to get your Victorian Certificate of Education. You can enrol in the VCE or in the VCE Vocational Major, a new 2-year vocational and applied learning program that sits within the VCE. The VCE Vocational Major is a great choice if you prefer to learn in a real-world environment, putting practical life skills into action. It's also a great choice if you don't need an ATAR for your post-school goals and want to move into an apprenticeship, traineeship, further study, or directly into a job. If you want an ATAR when you finish school, you should select a VCE pathway with subjects that lead to a study score. A VCE pathway can take you to university, high-level TAFE or VET certificate courses, or into an apprenticeship, traineeship, or the workforce. Your school will offer a variety of subjects that you can include in your VCE or VCE vocational major, like biology, drama, psychology, literature, or accounting. You can also include VET subjects like health, electrical industry, or creative and digital media. For students not yet ready or able to undertake the VCE or the VCE vocational major, the Victorian Pathways Certificate is a new, flexible Year 11 and 12 course that's built around the needs of individuals. Choose a study option that suits your strengths, goals, and aspirations. Talk to your teachers and careers practitioner to help make your choice. Authorised by the Victorian Government, Melbourne.
Thanks, Christy. So basically each pathway, what your child decides on doing, develops its own range of skills which are equally valued. So the VCE pathway, the VCE student, has a classroom focus where you build knowledge of a subject area and then you apply all your skills doing and knowledge through experiments and practical activities. If your child is doing the VCE VM, VCE Vocation Major pathway, it's skill-based learning where students have the opportunity to apply their skills to real-life project-based learning. So basically, this is how it looks. You have the VCE on the left-hand side, the Victorian Certificate of Education, and you have the VCE VM Vocational Major on the right-hand side. So on the left-hand side, by completing the VCE, it will lead you to the opportunities that the video said into employment, apprenticeships, traineeships, also can lead you to TAFE and also can lead you to university. If your child is studying the VCE VM, Vocational Major pathway, on completion of that, it also leads to apprenticeships, traineeships, employment, diplomas, and then through going to TAFE, and then after going to TAFE, it will lead you into university courses. I've left out the vet section, so when Miss Pockington, who's the applied leader, a learning leader, she will go into that a little bit later on. So please feel free to contact myself if you need any questions answered. I'm sure we've got some questions in the chat that we can answer at the end of the session. Thanks so much. I'll now pass you on to Mr. Goodwin, who is our Year 12 coordinator.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for coming along. I'm going to be taking you through how the VCE pathway works at VUSC specifically. So the VCE is completed over 2 years. So this is very important, and that it is a 2-year contract. We do have some students who do start a VCE subject in Year 10, but mostly that does involve over Year 11 and Year 12. And Year 10 is a preparation year building up towards the VCE. The VCE is often used to move on to study at university, TAFE, or another VET provider. Students who satisfy the requirements of VCE will receive an ATAR, which may be used for entry into tertiary courses in the following year after they finish their second year of VCE in Year 12. Most VCE subjects are made up of 4 units, which students will study over 2 years, 1 unit per semester. So if you do have anyone that starts a VCE subject in Year 10, they will finish it off in Year 11. But most students, as I've said, started in Year 11 and finish it in Year 12, with most studying Unit 1 and 2 in Year 11, and then Units 3 and 4 were studied in Year 12. All students must complete English. Okay, and as the English domain leader, that makes me very happy. The students who wish to select literature must do this in addition to English. Okay, so you choose English, then you choose literature, and then you choose your other subjects on top of that one. If you refer to page 7 of your senior secondary handbook, you'll get more detailed information on this, but we've included a little graphic here that summarises it nicely. So you can see there in Year 11, you study English, that'd be Units 1 and 2 English. In Year 12, Units 3 and 4 English. English is one of the subjects that you do need to wait until Year 11 to study. It's not one that you can do at Year 10. Then you have in year 11, 5 different VCE subjects as well as English that you choose to study. And then in year 12, you go on with 4 out of those 5 as well as English. So as you can see down the bottom, year 11, English unit 1 or 2, or English as an additional language if you're eligible for that in units 1 or 2. In year 12, you study English units 3 and 4, and if you're eligible for EAL, you continue with that in units 3 and 4. The next one is the mathematics pathway. Many students do undertake VCE mathematics to gain entry into university or TAFE. It is not compulsory in VCE to study maths though, which is an important point. It is, however, really important if you're not going to study a maths to make sure that your that the various different main career options that you're thinking of, that you've spoken with your course counsellor and careers advisors, because there are some courses that do require maths. For example, recently one of the ones that's tripped a few people up is that the 4-year education degree does require general maths. So that's just one example. So do need to just be a little bit careful if you're not choosing a maths. But there are plenty of courses out there that don't require them. But as I've said, there are plenty that do. So take some care with that. Year 11, units 1 and 2, if you study general mathematics, you go straight through to general mathematics in unit 3 and 4. However, if you're looking at doing courses that may require more advanced mathematics, maybe some engineering courses, there's several other ones as well, you might be looking at more doing mathematical methods in unit 1 and 2, especially if you've been studying that in year 10, the year 10 version of mathematical methods, sorry. If you do mathematical methods in units 1 and 2, it doesn't mean that you need to continue it in units 3 and 4 in year 12. As you can see there from the arrows, you can go to general mathematics in unit 3 and 4. If you study mathematical methods and specialists, and you must study both of those together, then in year 12, you have the 2 options in unit 3 and 4 to carry on with mathematical methods, just mathematical methods in year 12, or moving into continue with mathematical and specialist in year 12. So that's a handy little diagram there for our mathematics pathways. This is just another slide which shows you how a sample VCE course may look. So you can see there students got English, both year 11 and 12. That's good. That's what they need. They have chosen a maths. They've done a classic maths pathway of the general maths year 11, general maths year 12. They've done accounting in year 11, carried on with it in year 12. Media in year 11, carried on in year 12. Same with biology. Geography, however, they did units 1 and 2, decided that for their pathways and from the subjects that they enjoyed in year 11, they were not going to carry on with geography in year 12, and therefore they didn't carry on with that. And that becomes their study block. So they have those 3 periods a week where they have that study time in year 12 at school. A typical VCE week will look like this. As you can see, Monday, Wednesday and Friday, it is just classes period 1 to 4. On a Tuesday, when you're in year 11, you'll only have classes period 1 to 3, and then you'll go home. If you're in year 12, you stay on for period 4, and you have CSG, Collaborative Study Group. Collaborative Study Group at VUSC does have an English focus. We do all our English assessment tasks in that time so that everyone does them at the same time, which is a very equitable system. However, we also do some skills-based workshops for English as well. Students during the CSG time will get the opportunity to do some other activities though, some wellbeing activities, careers. Christy will come in and do really important careers sessions with them in that time. We have some guest speakers come in to talk to them about study skills and things like that. So it's a really nice variety of things that happen in that time, but there is the English focus. On Thursdays, it's the Year 11's turn to have the CSG in period 4. So the Year 12s don't have a scheduled class in period 4. However, being Year 12, that's very rare that a Year 12 VCE student will go home. They may have a study session, an extra study session for one of their subjects. They may have an assessment task for one of their subjects. They may be in one of our English tutoring programs that they do in period 4. So they often don't go home. They'll often have something else to do in Year 12, but there's no scheduled class then. So that's the typical VCE week. And this is where I'll hand over to Elizabeth Pocklington, Applied Learning Leader. She'll go in more to how the VCE VM pathway works. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Goodwin. Welcome, parents, caregivers and students. My name is Liz Pocklington and I look after all things applied learning at VUSC, including the VCE VM, VET and the Year 10 Advanced Applied Learning course. In 2019, the government commissioned a review of VCAL and all 38 recommendations were accepted by the government. The key recommendations to take away from this review include to increase the quality of the vocational and applied learning pathways and to incorporate it into the VCE, and to create a brand new certificate, the VCE Vocational Major, which is now a 2-year senior secondary certificate that runs alongside the VCE but serves a different purpose. Students will not sit exams. Students will not receive a study score and therefore will have no ATAR. Students will likely end up going to TAFE, do apprenticeships, complete traineeships, or go straight into employment. There are 4 compulsory subjects ran in the VCE VM, which is the acronym for it. When you hear me talk about it, they will complete literacy at units 1 to 4, numeracy, personal development skills, work-related skills. They will also be required to complete a compulsory VET subject, and I will go through this later on in my presentation soon. And unlike the VCE where students sit assessment tasks in class, all assessments in the VCE VM and VET are all competency-based where students complete learning activities and project work. Thanks, Christy. This is what a typical VCE VM week looks like. Students are at VUSC on Monday, Wednesdays and Fridays, where they will be undertaking those 4 compulsory subjects that I spoke about. On a Tuesday and Thursday, students will go out and do VET or a work placement. So what happens with that is if, for example, if a student, your student being Year 11 next year, they will most likely undertake their VET on a Tuesday, which means that their work placement or their structured work placement, which we call it, will be on a Thursday, and vice versa for Year 12. Thanks, Christy. Sorry, I also need to mention with structured work placement, their work placement should align with their VET course. So if your child decides to undertake building construction, their structured work placement should be going out with a builder 1 day a week. I'm now just going to show you a quick 1-minute video that explains VET, which is what I'll be talking about next. Thanks, Christy.
What do you like learning? And how do you like to learn? Do you like to create? To build? To perform? Or to experiment? Do you like working with animals? With cars? With technology? Or with food and drink? Do you want to learn more about healthcare, sports and outdoor activities, or farming and the environment? Or do you just like learning new skills? Whoever you are, and whatever you like learning, think about VET.
Okay, just while Christy's getting back the presentation, I don't know if you saw Christy jumping on the VCAA website there. That is just a really good website that you could go to. They've developed a section called Get Vet, which has all really good resources on there. It looks at all the vet programs that are explained to you. So if you get a chance, please do have a look at it because it's a really good resource. So VET. VET is a national system with qualifications that are recognised and can lead to employment anywhere in Australia. A VET qualification can contribute towards both VCE and the VCE VM. VET improves the transition for students from school to work and or further education. There are many benefits that students can gain through doing a VET, which are on your screen right now. And employers highly regard students doing a VET subject because they do learn these employability skills that they like for students to come in with. Findings from students have found that VET for them improves their motivation, engagement and commitment. It improves their self-esteem and confidence. For them, it provides a context for learning new skills that are valued in the workplace. It also caters for their preferred learning style, being hands-on and applied. And for them, it provides a meaningful context for learning both theoretical concepts and then applying those theoretical concepts into practical skills. Thanks, Christy. VUSC, we do offer 3 VET courses, the Certificate 2 in Building Construction, Certificate 3 in Business, Certificate 3 in Sport and Recreation. Both VCE and the VCE VM students can undertake these courses. However, a VCE student can only access VUSC VET courses only. Very quickly, the Certificate 2 in Building Construction offers a 10% increment on a student's ATAR, and the Certificate 3 in Business and in Sport and Recreation are scored subjects, which means that they will complete scored assessment and they will sit an exam and it will contribute to their ATAR, where Building Construction will offer them an extra 10%. Thanks, Christy. Okay, I do see in the chat that people are asking about VET courses. Now, your student will have available to them via Teams this VET Broombank Cluster VET Student Handbook. And in this handbook, there are over 38 courses available to students. So please have a look because there is actually a really good resource on the Get Vet where it looks at which vet am I, and students can actually go through the steps 1 to 4 look at a career and then follow the flowchart right down to what vet they should be currently doing. Okay, so that Springbank Vet Cluster Handbook and all the courses in that are completely open to the VCE vocational major students, including early education that someone has asked about in the chat. However, VCE students can only access the 3 courses at our school. I am available at the senior campus at any time if you have any further inquiries regarding anything VCE, VM or VET, and I will now hand over to Christy Muratore, our career coordinator.
Thanks, Liz, and welcome to everyone who's been able to join us here this evening, and also a big hello to those people that might be viewing this as a recording. So we are making this available as a recording for those people who might want to have a second look, or anyone that's unable to be with us here this evening. So my name is Christy Muratore. I'm the Careers Coordinator here at VUSC, and I'm going to talk with you now about the very important choices that Year 9s and 10s are going to be making over the next couple of weeks, and how you as parents and carers and family members can help support the young people within our school in Years 9 and 10, particularly at the moment with that decision making. So we have a second event available to our Year 10 families, and the flyer that you received at the end of Term 2 had both tonight's event and tomorrow's expo advertised on it. So the expo for Year 10 students tomorrow is an opportunity for our students to speak with our subject teachers. They will get to speak about all of the subjects that are available, the VM program and the VET courses that are offered both at VUSC for our VCE and VCE VM students, as well as the VET courses that are offered within the cluster, as Liz just explained, for students that are completing the vocational major. So this event tomorrow will take place during period 4, which for family members that are able to attend will be from 2 o'clock till 3 o'clock. And the students have been given a schedule. So if you speak with your child about what time they will be in the expo and what time they will have the course counselling preparation session in Building H, as stated on the flyer, they will be able to inform you of their schedule. And if any students have any questions about that, they can contact me on Teams. In terms of the decisions that are coming up for our Year 9s and 10s, they do come under the umbrella of career decision making. We know that young people at Year 9 and 10 are still very much in the exploratory phase. Some students have a clear idea of where they're heading. Others are very much still considering all of their available options. And we know that for some people, their career pathway is quite straightforward and linear. But for many of us, our career pathway can take us in many different directions. And so it's really important to use all of the available information to help us with our thinking. Some of the information that is available to our students is the career profile that the vast majority of our students completed in Year 9. So for some of you here this evening, you will have completed that last term. And for our Year 10 students, you will have completed the Moresby or My Career Insights program last year. And all students who have completed My Career Insights or Moresby have access to their online report for their lifetime. So they can log in using the email that they registered with. And if they're having issues with that, they can contact me on Teams and I can send them a recovery code for that. The Moresby report that was generated for our Year 9 students provided an overview of their strengths in terms of the aptitudes that were measured through that career assessment tool. It also provides some insight into careers that the student may be well suited to based on both their aptitudes and the interests that they express in the interest survey component of the assessment. And it gives students an idea of some subjects that may be relevant to them and consistent with their strengths. So we really encourage students to return to their My Career Insights or Moresby profile. It is food for thought. It shouldn't be purely what decisions are based on, but it's certainly one of many different factors to help inform your decision making. I've listed some of the other factors that can also impact and influence our decision making, and we've been talking with your children about this in their inquiry program in both Year 9 and 10. And we really encourage students to consider their interests, their strengths, subjects and programs that might be consistent with their values, and also to speak with other people and consider what they are curious about and would like to find out more about. So pathways planning has two components. Certainly we would ask that students do give thought to the future careers and industries and fields that they're interested in, and that helps them to backwards map the post-secondary pathways into those careers. So that could be attending university and completing a bachelor degree. It could be undertaking an apprenticeship. And then from there, they can go further back, so backwards map which of the senior certificates that have been outlined to you this evening would be most appropriate, whether that be the VCE or the VCE vocational major. As I said earlier, we also know that students are very much still considering their options, so we really do encourage students to consider their interests, what they enjoy, what they're good at, and what they're curious about. And both of those components, the backwards mapping, but also the reflecting on their interests and strengths are really important and should be factored into their decision making. And we'd encourage families to have conversations with young people about their decision making around these two broad areas. So parents and carers and family members can support young people through having conversations such as around those factors that I've just mentioned, becoming familiar with the language and structure of the VCE and the vocational major, which you are doing right now by being here this evening or listening to this recording. You've been able to learn a bit more about the structure of those two senior certificates. Asking questions. So we are at the careers team. We are located at the senior campus, the Canley campus. Students can contact us through Teams, or we can be contacted through the school phone line. And please encourage your child to attend university and TAFE open days in years 10, 11 and 12. And that's an excellent way for young people to get a sense of which institution best aligns with their interest and where they can see themselves continuing with further education in the future, if that is their desired pathway. So we have course counselling coming up over weeks 3 and 4 for our Year 9 and 10 students. Year 10 students will have their course counselling on Thursday, the 27th of July. So that is next week, and students have already received a letter through their home group teacher with their course counselling interview time and their course counsellor's name. So there will be no Year 10 classes on that day. We ask that, if possible, parents or carers attend the interview with students. We think that's really important to have you there as part of that conversation, and that will take place in B block at the front of the senior campus. So if there's any questions about that, again, students, probably the easiest way to resolve those questions is for students to contact the careers team either in person or via Teams, or certainly if you've got questions now, you can add them to the chat. Year 9 course counselling takes place the following week, and we'll be doing that over 2 days this year, so Thursday the 3rd of August and Friday the 4th of August. So again, your child will have a letter that will come home this week after the Year 9 Expo on Thursday, and we'll have the students' course counselling interview time as well as their course counsellor's name. So it's one interview on either the Thursday or the Friday. Year 9 students will have classes as usual on those 2 days, and they will have permission to leave their class at their interview time. So we're just asking students to show their teacher their letter at the beginning of the class out of courtesy, and then they can head over to the library at the junior campus for their interview. And parents and carers who are available to attend are more than welcome to do so during the Year 9 course counselling interviews as well. If parents or carers are unable to attend, students will bring home a copy of their subjects that they have selected for both Year 9 and Year 10, and we do ask that consent is provided for those selections. And again, if there are any questions, please contact us in the careers team so that we can help you with those. So hot off the press, we have our handbooks where students will find all of the information that's going to be helpful for them in deciding their Year 10 and subjects or their Year 11 VC or vocational major programs. So these have been made available to students via the whole cohort teams, and we will also publish them to families tomorrow via the Compass newsfeed. And you've seen some snippets from the handbooks this evening. They do contain very detailed explanations, particularly the senior secondary handbook for our Year 10 students. You do have descriptions of all of the subjects that are available, and we ask that students read that carefully, and they've begun that process during their inquiry classes, doing some critical reading around the handbook so that they are aware of their options and able to make informed decisions next Thursday. For our Year 9s, they have less to read, but they have more decisions to make, and the students at the Year 9 Expo this Thursday will get a form to draft their selections. So they will be choosing a number of electives, which I will go through them with them on Thursday, and it's also outlined in the Year 10 handbook for them. I'd like to thank everyone for taking the time this evening to join us for our Senior Secondary Information Evening. As I've mentioned, it's a really important time, and we're all working collaboratively to support our Year 9s and 10s with their decision making over the next few weeks. If you have any questions, please pop them in the chat now. I'll just wait a moment or two to see whether we have any final questions. Otherwise, please don't hesitate to contact us. I'll just check that there is a question in the chat at the moment. Yep, that's a great question, Erin. So at Year 11, you have the VC English. Deep learning doesn't continue beyond Year 10. However, students who have excelled in English and who have completed deep learning English may decide to supplement their VCE English with VCE literature as well. As another option there. So have a look at the Senior Secondary Handbook for further information about VCE literature. And if there's any other questions, please go ahead and post them. Otherwise, I will wrap it up. I really appreciate everyone's time this evening, and thank you to my co-presenters. I don't think we've got it. Okay, I think we're good to wrap up. So thank you again, everyone, and have a good evening.